Hello, leader. One of the most impactful things that you can do for your team right now is to prepare them for the new year. Don't wait until January. No, now is the perfect time to hit the reset button, reflect on the past year, and jumpstart your team for the next year. So let's talk about what this could look like for you in your small business. Welcome to the Stacking Your Team podcast. I'm your host, Shelli Warren. I've worked with so many business owners over the years, and they all have the same secret to spill when we first meet. They have team troubles. Yes, it's a secret they've been keeping for a long while because most of their peers and family don't believe them. You see, from the outside, everything looks fabulous. They've built a wonderful reputation, a strong following of delighted clients and customers. They've created a brand that resonates with people, and the proof is in their revenues. But the truth is, they're struggling to lead people, and they've pretty much been around the block and back with team turnover. They admit that they're proud of the small business they've built, and yet at the same time, they're so tired of trying to grow without an agile team who are happy to work alongside them. They know that they need a team, but not just any team. And just like you, they're ready to learn how to lead in such a way that fits their perspective as a woman who owns a business, runs a second shift on the home front, and wants to create a legacy for their family and community for years to come. So let's hold hands and jump in together with today's episode. Hello and welcome back to the podcast. I'm so glad you're taking me along with you as you go about your day. And did you know that the team that got you here may not be the team that will get you there? Well, look at you. It's Q4, and you've come a long way this year. It's not over, of course, and the holidays are just around the corner, and it's the perfect time to get your team ready for next year. Why am I pushing you on this? Well, it's because I know that team members need a boost of motivation at the close of the calendar year. They do. They want to know what's coming up, and they want to know that you've noticed what they've accomplished this past year that's about to close. Now, it's true. I'm going to push you in Q1 of next year to host the most important team meeting of the year. So consider this episode a precursor. Let me explain. Leaders who are strategic and forward-thinking know that they need to teach their team to do the same. Now, you hear me all the time talk about the importance of helping your team to stop thinking like employees and start thinking like business owners. Well, here's a great step to do this on a drumbeat. Every year, you'll get your team ready for the next year by leveraging Q4 to reconnect, realign, reward, and re-engage your team. The end of the calendar year can trigger a lot of thoughts and reflections for you as the business owner, but it also causes the same amount for your team members. They're looking back, wondering about the future, and considering if they will stay for another year or begin to look elsewhere in the new year to begin that next chapter of their career. At the same time, many people, as the year winds down, are also looking to make some fresh plans for their personal life too. So will their role with you be a part of their plans? Now, you can have some influence in this by hosting this important conversation with them, which can affirm their desire to stay and also reinforce any stretching goals or work plans that you're wanting to inform them about so that they have a full picture of what next year will look like for them. It's always a welcomed conversation. So here's how this can be set up with some details. You'll have a look at what's happened and what's about to happen. This can be very motivating for people because it demonstrates your willingness to put them first and run a bit of a highlight reel for them. You'll be showing them how far they've come, how far they've grown in their role, and how much they've overcome in terms of challenges. Now, you might think this is a bit frivolous, but it's not. Most people do not jot down major accomplishments throughout the year. They think they're going to remember it all, including the details, but they won't, which is why it's important for every business to have a way of capturing results, trends, and major milestones so that you can talk truthfully about the results and achievements rather than superficially. It's having the facts, the figures, and the storytelling that are so impactful for your team members. And by the way, it's incredibly motivating for you and your leadership team too. Okay, so how do we go about doing this? Well, in the middle of Q4, you're going to host one-to-ones with each of your team members. Now, ideally, you would do this as a one-to-one, meaning you and the individual, or a two-to-one, meaning you, your team member, and the leader who's directly responsible to that individual would come together for this touchpoint meeting. Now, you can do this back-to-back in an afternoon, or depending on your team size, you could split this up over a few days. Now, I can see you calculating in your head how much time this is going to take, but let me remind you that you and your leadership team member would have had one-to-ones planned for each individual this quarter anyways, right? So in reality, you're hijacking this month's one-to-one for a specific year-end wrap-up. Now, you'll take 30 minutes or less, but wow, you are going to make that time so darn valuable for each person and in turn, the business and its bottom line. So here's how to do it. Number 1, you'll invite them in advance and not with one of those encrypted text messages or emails that say, "We need to meet. I'll see you next Thursday at 10 a.m. No. They will be invited to their normal one-to-one drumbeat with an extra descriptor explaining that you're excited to help wrap up the year with some highlights of their contribution to the business. Now, be sure to include their team leader, who is responsible for their daily leadership coaching for each individual person. The second thing you're going to do is get prepared by going back through this year's highlights in 3 main areas. The first one is the business itself, right? You're going to want to look at the profit center that each person belongs to. Some of you may call it a department, or you may call it a function. The next area you're going to highlight are the results from their personal development. So this will include a recap of feedback that they've listened to, taken action on, and now this is just their new normal and their new level of performance. And then the last one will be the overall team highlights. After all, each person is a member of the team collectively, so showcasing the results of everyone is a morale booster for sure. Now, this is where your team members are going to be delighted, and I'll tell you why. Because typically, they'll be expecting to hear only about the bottom line. But you are an evolved leader who knows the value of people. And you know that it's critical to keep them motivated and feeling like they belong to something bigger than themselves by shining the light on the whole person, not just the revenue results that they help to bring into the business, but the actual professional and personal development that they've experienced too. You'll include things like the skill development they've mastered. So who did they train? What new services, products, or events did they make a significant contribution to? What feedback did they receive and then take action on to turn their performance around? So this conversation is not in lieu of an annual performance review. No, that's a more detailed touch point where others will also provide feedback to include in that assessment. This conversation is to help each person on your team wrap up this past year and get ready for the next. Now, you'll also collaborate with their team leader. If you have that structure in place, I hope you do. If you don't, I can help you with that. And you'll also have a look at those KPIs, those key performance indicators that each person's role is linked to. Now, where did they meet or exceed the targets and why? And then be prepared to reinforce those results and their actions that led to those incredible results, including any gaps. This will be easier if you use their individual 5R work plans to steer the messaging that you're going to share with them. You can also dip back into their personnel file and have a look at any key points that were shared during any of your note to files or any documentation that showcases their key contributions. Maybe even some reviews or emails where clients and customers called them out specifically. You're going to want to make sure you're looking at a broad view of feedback that you want to share with them that really helps reinforce the results that they've been able to achieve. Now, this is also your chance to tell them how much you appreciate their perspective, their experience, and their willingness to take on new challenges, including any new responsibilities for aspects of their work that they signed up for this past year. And your team wants to hear that you noticed them. You saw how much they delivered and how often they worked overtime, came in early, stayed late, and went above and beyond the call of duty to deliver outstanding customer and client care. So by reminding them about how far the team has come, you're reinforcing the role they play too. So it's not just about them. It's not just about the bottom line, but it's about the actual team collective performance. And you can use specifics such as, remember back in Q1 this year when the team was struggling to learn this? And then with the training effort, everyone mastered that new skill? Or remember back in Q2 when we thought that we were not going to be able to meet our key goal of X. And then with the addition of 2 new team members, you crushed it. And more recently, in Q3, the team saw just how valuable our interns were when we had so many people off sick. Our interns were able to slide quickly into those admin tasks that kept our skeleton crew freed up to provide those client services pretty much on par with our normal rate because they weren't being bogged down with those admin tasks. So you can see how amplifying the overall success of the team can be a boost for each person to hear from you that you've noticed, and you want to celebrate those details. And the third thing you're going to do is pull all of your thoughts together about what they will need to know and what they would appreciate knowing about Q1 of next year. What's the plan? Where will they be involved? What will they need to learn or do more of? Now, yes, you are going to host a big rollout of the strategic plan for the next year with the entire team in Q1. But this conversation is designed to focus solely on each person and how their contributions impact the business and therefore their career. Now, it helps your team to hear you tell them that you'll need them to double down on this, improve that, stay focused on this, and also telling them that you need them to slow down here, streamline that, and even eliminate tasks or activities altogether. You'll be encouraging them with insight on your upcoming hiring strategy, what new automation you're planning to implement, and of course, you'll want to give them the heads up about anything related to new industry standards or marketplace demands. So let's not surprise them. This is your chance to be open and honest with them about what's coming around the corner for the new year and how you're going to invite them to get involved, recommit to their career, and say yes to new projects. You'll also tell them that there will be a larger rollout of that strategic plan that covers in more detail for each specific quarter and key activities to match the plan for each profit center, or if you call it a department or function of the business. Reinforce with them that you're going to share all of those details at that rollout of the strategic plan on this date. Give them the date of that day. Let them know, even if you're doing it in February, even if you're doing it in mid-February, tell them what the date is for that bigger rollout of your strategic plan. It will also give them something to look forward to and confirm for them that you are a leader who plans for success, not reacts to the marketplace and tries to adjust in order to match the need, but rather has the foresight to stay ahead of it. It's a confidence booster for team members to know that each year you're going to host these one-to-ones to wrap up the year, and then each new year you're going to host that extended team meeting with everyone to roll out the new plan for the new year. Soon they'll see that it's just normal at your workplace to move in preparation of each planning cycle. So as we close out today's episode, let's recap what you just learned today about how to get your team ready for the new year. Number 1, do it now. Do not wait until January. Number 2, be prepared for these one-to-ones and two-to-ones. Come with data, stories, client reviews and testimonials, and facts about those 3 key areas. The first one, the business results. The second one, their personal development. And the third, the overall impact of the team that they're a part of. And then, of course, the third thing you're going to do is pull back the curtain on what they can expect for the new year to reinforce their value so that they can recommit to stay and flourish in their role. You know, leadership can be exciting, challenging, and lonely at times. So don't go it alone. Let me help you create the team and the leadership structure that you've been craving. So until next time, remember, if you have a dream, you need a team. So let's get stacking yours today.